crumblization. Liz pulled the crumble zone buttons, and each corner of the bus boat scrunched up. Soon we were starting to sink. Carlos was confused. If we weighted the same, how does being smaller make us sink? Maybe it's because the less water we push out of the way, the less water pushed back up, Caesar explained. Suddenly, the bus boat really crumbled. We were packed like sardines in a can. Down, down, down we went. Just before we hit bottom, Wanda put on her face mask. Before we could ask what she was doing, Wanda disappeared through the floor hatch. Wanda! We called. The bus boat started to rise in the water. Without water extra weight, we couldn't stay on the bottom. We need her back. Wanda didn't hear us calling to her. She was too busy looking for the monster. Suddenly, something grabbed her leg. Wanda was stuck. Ah! Wanda yelled. We had to get back into the water of the lake so we could save Wanda. We have to get smaller so we can sink, Rafi said. Miss Frizzle shook her head. I'm afraid we can't do that, Rafi. The crumble control is jammed. We're in big trouble. I know, Carol said. He pulled on his driving gear and dropped through the floor hatch. A second later, we heard a big bloop bloop. Carlos had pulled out the corks of the proteins. The proteins were big plastic containers full of air that was attached to the bottom of the bus boat. Without the cork stoppers, water rushed into the proteins. Whoa! Whoa! We all shouted. We were sinking again. I get it, Rafi said. More water, more weight. Meanwhile, Wanda was still struggling when suddenly he came face to face with the monster. All right, you asked for it, Wanda said, angry. She pulled her arm back. Wow! She gave the monster her best right hand punch and its nose fell off. Wanda gasped. There's no monster! It's all just pretend! Just then, Jerry Poohberry drove up in her driving suit, and I get to reveal it all in your face, she said excitedly. When Wanda saw Jerry, she figured what had happened. Jerry had made up the whole monster story to get people to watch her show. You won't get away with it, Wanda told Jerry. Nobody would believe you, Jerry said. You're a kid. That made Wanda really angry. We will see about that, she said, and he swam away as fast as he could. Back on the bus boat, the rest of us were confused. What was going on, and where was Wanda? Then Tim spotted her. There she is, he shouted. Sure enough, Wanda was swimming through us. We all sighed in relief. What happened to the monster? Carol asked cautiously. The monster is a fake, Wanda said in disgust. The real monster is Jerry Poohberry. She was trying to get people to watch her show. We have to get to the surface to stop her, Wanda said. The truth must be told. Everyone looked worried. We didn't know how we were able to make it up on the top before Jerry ran on television. The truth is the proteins are completely filled with water. We are too heavy for our size, Keisha said. Just when we started to panic, Arnold came with an idea. If the water in the proteins weighed us down, he said, we could push that water out with something lighter. The Miss Frizzle smiled. And what is a lot lighter than water? She asked us. Air! We all sat together. The solution was simple. If we fill the protein with air again, The air would be pushed the heavy water out and the boat would be light enough to float. A few minutes later, we put our plan into action. Carlos plugged up the holes of the top of the pontoons so that air wouldn't escape. Then we put air hoses through the holes on the bottom. Plumbers, start your pumps, Miss Frizzle announced. On board, Arnold and Dorian started pumping. Air bubbles steam from the air hoses. Soon, air pockets appeared at the top of the pontoons. The air on top pushed the water out. Whoosh! The bus boat started to rise. Our plan was working. We all swam back into the bus boat. Now that we are lighter, the water pushed on us harder than a wave pushed down, Miss Frizzle told us. Well, we weren't rising for very long. Keisha looked through the glass bottom on the bus boat. The crocks are gone and the air was escaping, she exclaimed. Someone has pulled out the crocks, and we had a good idea who it was. Jerry Pulfairy, the real monster. Just then, we saw Jerry Pulfairy's big monster. It was rising towards the surface. Jerry was going to lie to her audience and say that she had found the monster, but she was the one who had put it here in the first place. We had to float the boat, and fast! How about getting bigger? Phoebe suggests. Remember my bread size? When it was big, it floated. Soon, if we uncrumble the box, will get bigger and the water will push back more. When it was big, it floated. Let's do it, shouted Keisha. We all dived into the water. We got to work. Bit by bit, we pushed and pulled the bus boat back to its normal size, and we started to rise. Just as we started to pick up speed, Wanda grabbed hold of the Tim. Come on, Tim, she said. I have an idea. And bring the monster can, and off they swam. The second later, the bus boat and the monster burst out of the lake, one and underneath Jerry Pulfairy. My story! Jerry wailed as she fell into the lake with a splash. Wanda popped out of the water. Our story, you mean? She said with a grin. She stuck a pin into the monster. It shot upward, doing a wriggly dance as the air whooshed out. It landed on the lake with a splat, and Tim got the whole thing on videotape. It had been a pretty exciting Saturday, but it wasn't over yet. We all got to watch Jerry apologize to her audience, and we got to be on in your face. How did you get the monster to the surface? Jerry wanted to know. The monster was big and light enough to float, Wanda said, and we had to do was cut it loose, and you know the rest. She grinned at the camera. Your very own monster ended up in your face. The end.